I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'll rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Khan?
Here.
Trustee Minks?
Here.
Trustee Sheba?
Here.
Trustee Phil?
Here.
Trustee Travis?
Here.
Trustee White?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Can I get an approval of the minutes of our regular meeting of October 25th?
I'll make the motion to approve the regular meeting minutes of October 28th, 2025.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Mink, seconded by Trustee Khan. Any questions or corrections? Hearing none, please call the vote. Or all in favor?
Aye.
All right. No special reports. We have no public hearings, no plan commission reports, residents' comments on agenda items only. Anybody want to speak on anything that's actually on our agenda at this point? Hearing none. President's report. So, I would ask that Trustee Minks and Father Dennis O'Neill join me down at the podium for a presentation. Oh, you know what? Yeah, right. Come on, Hello again. Is this on? Yes, okay. So, in honor of Father Dennis and his 21 years as pastor of St. Martha Parish, now All Saints Parish, and his 10 years as founder, collector, and curator of Shrine of All Saints, I'm joined by Trustee Minks to honor this achievement. You can come closer. The Shrine of All Saints is housed in St. Martha of Bethany Church in Morton Grove. On November 1st, 2015, the shrine was declared a diocesan shrine by Cardinal Blaise Cupich of Chicago. This year, the Shrine of All Saints will celebrate its 10th anniversary. The Shrine of All Saints currently contains the relics of more than 3,200 different saints, making it the second largest collection of such relics in America. And it's estimated that 1,800 people from 34 states and 13 different countries have visited the shrine. On this occasion, I'm going to have you present it, Rita. We would like to present Father Dennis with a key to the village and thank him for the service to the community. Would you like to say anything, or you don't have to?
I can say thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
I know you have a long meeting. Thank you. I came here 2 weeks before 9/11, knowing in advance what a great community Morton Grove is. It was ratified, I think, in 2006 when Family Circle magazine came out with that article that said we're one of the 10 best places to raise children in the country. And that's been the same ever since. So I love being here. It's been wonderful having you as my neighbors and my home. And I intend to die here, God willing. And I am blown away by this. Thank you.
Thank you for all.
Well deserved.
All right, a few more announcements. I have to be able to read. I would like to congratulate our own MCC Academy's girls volleyball team for recently winning the regional championship. Having just started their program not too long ago, they have quickly grown into a statewide contender and advanced to the Chicago sectional semifinals. While they were not able to advance further this year, they became the first Illinois Islamic school to win a regional championship, and we want to congratulate these young athletes on an amazing year. So congratulations to them. Woo! Also, congratulations to Lexington Homes for their Metro on Main project, which just received the Development of the Year award for the suburbs from the Chicago Agent magazine. Lexington redeveloped the southwest corner of Lehigh Avenue and Main Street into an 89-unit townhouse development. So congratulations to Lexington Home on this well-deserved recognition. And this week, we observe Veterans Day in Morton Grove. On Sunday, I was joined by Trustees Phil, Minks, and Travis, and Clerk Scanlon Hartford, along with our staff in honoring veterans with the American Legion. I was also honored to join Mayor Alpagianis, who hosted veterans at his restaurant's Cappy's yesterday in honor of those who served this country. As our residents have known for decades, we are truly lucky that Cappy's calls Morton Grove its home, and I want to personally thank Mayor Alpagianis for his generosity and his honoring of our veterans yesterday at his restaurant. That is the end of my report. Clerk's report?
Thank you, Your Honor. As the Maine Township liaison, I'd like to talk a little bit about the food pantry. The Maine Township Food Pantry has been helping address issues of food insecurity since 1981. The recently remodeled pantry is open to residents of Maine Township between the hours of 10 to 1 on Tuesdays and Friday, and 2:30 to 4:30 on Wednesday. Residents can choose their items that they need in a grocery store-like shopping experience, including sections of dairy, meat, produce, and other refrigerated and frozen items. The food pantry provides food for over 400 families each month. They've also partnered with East Maine School District 63 to assist students from food insecure families by providing weekend to-go bags. This helps students receive free and reduced lunches during the school week and also access adequate nutrition over the weekend. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Reports, Village Administrator.
Yes, Your Honor and Board, I have a few items to present tonight. So the first item is Ordinance 2530, which is up for the first reading tonight, and it would be amending Title 1, Administrative Section 19B1, entitled Sale of Surplus Property, Title 8, Public Health and Safety, Sections 8-11-1, entitled Definitions and Exclusions, and 8-11-2, entitled Permit Required, and deleting Section 4-10-1 of Title 5, Motor Vehicles and Traffic of the Village of Morton Grove Municipal Code. So with this is an update ordinance that is looking at 4 sections of the code to update in regards to surplus, changing that from 1,000 to 3,000, making some clarifications on the special events and try to make it a little bit more clear to the public. And then some cleanup in regards to our recent language for e-scooters. So that is up for just a first reading tonight, but I'm happy to answer any questions from the board.
Any questions or comments?
All right, with that, I will also present Ordinance 2533, which is also up for a first reading tonight, and this would be amending Title 4, entitled Business Regulations, Chapter 6, Article D, entitled Liquor Control, and Title 1, entitled Administrative, Chapter 11, entitled Fees, and Section 4, entitled Fees for Specific Permits, License Certificates, and Services of the Municipal Code of the Village of Morton Grove. This is part of an ongoing process where the village has been reviewing our liquor license, and we are looking to update that and reflect some changes that have happened, but also get rid of maybe some older language that we've had in the code. With that, I'm available to answer any questions, and once again, this is for a first reading tonight.
Anybody have questions? Okay.
And then
right.
lastly, just for the benefit of those in the audience and the public, I also want to talk about, we have some regulations that will be, or I should say, parking regulations that we're going to have going in place. So over the last several weeks, we've been working with residents in the Menard and Keeney area to address issues with traffic and parking in the morning and afternoon related to school traffic. So in line with other traffic issues that come up, we're going to be using our experimental parking starting later this month to respond to the concerns we've received from residents in the area by instituting some regulations on Menard Avenue between Oakton Avenue and Kenny Street. Specifically, there'll be no parking, standing, passenger drop-off on school days from 7:30 a.m. to 8:30 a.m. And then that same restriction would apply from 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on the afternoon. And then there's no parking for more than 1 hour on school days between 8:30 and 3 p.m. in that area, except for those vehicles displaying a Zone 1 parking permit. And then no U-turns allowed on the road. And additionally, we're going to have no U-turns prohibited on Warren Street from Major Avenue to Memorial Avenue. So the purpose of experimental parking is to develop solutions for parking concerns raised by residents. And to this end, if residents have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me at administration@mortongrovil.org or at 847-663-3001. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Corporation Counsel. Reports by trustees. Trustee Khan?
Thank you, Your Honor. I do have an ordinance to be presented tonight, and it's the first reading. It's Ordinance 25-31. This is an ordinance adopting the budgets for all corporate purposes of the Village of Morton Grove and the Morton Grove Library, Cook County, Illinois, for the calendar year effective January 1st, 2026, and ending December 31st, 2026. And this is the first reading, so we're not going to have a vote on this. I have a second ordinance that I'd like to present, again introduced tonight, November 12th. This is the first reading of Ordinance 25-32, an ordinance levying and assessing taxes for the Village of Morton Grove, Cook County, Illinois for 2025 to be collected in the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2026 and ending December 31, 2026. And we're not going to do a vote since, again, this is the first reading. And that ends my formal report. I just want to add a note for our father, Dennis O'Neill. I want to congratulate and thank you for your selfless service to the community of Morton Grove. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Khan. Trustee Minks?
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no formal report, but I did want to make mention of the Santa coming to town. We need everybody to mark their calendars for Saturday, December 6th, as we hold our annual Santa Comes to Town event. Santa will begin his tour of the village at Greenwood and Waukegan at 11 o'clock in the morning and will end at Main and Austin Avenue between 1:15 and 1:30. Santa will then reappear at the Prairie View Community Center to provide gifts to kids who receive specially marked candy until 3:30 in the afternoon. Please visit the village website to see the Santa tracker to see where Santa is along the parade route on December 6th. And again, thank you to Father Dennis for all that you do. I think you have led the community well for the last 20-some-odd years. And that's the end of my report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Trustee Sheba.
No formal report. Just want to congratulate Father Dennis once again and the entire parish. Congratulations to everything that you guys have accomplished. And obviously, we welcome you guys here with open arms. Thank you for being such a huge pillar of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Thill.
Yes, Your Honor. I have Resolution 2576. It's authorizing a change order with H Electric Company for the traffic signal and street light maintenance program. I move that we accept Resolution 2576.
Motion made by Trustee Thill, seconded by Trustee Sheba. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Minks?
Aye.
Trustee Sheba?
Aye.
Trustee Thill?
Aye.
Trustee Travis?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Resolution 25-76 passes 6-0, Your Honor.
I have a comment on the fall leaf program. The village's fall leaf program has started and will continue until December 1st, 2025. The village fall leaf program is for leaf pickup only. All other landscape materials, including grass clippings, bushes, tree branches, and flowers, will not be picked up. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Trustee Travis.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have two ordinances which are up for a second reading. First, I have ordinance 25-28, which is an ordinance amending Title VI entitled Police Regulations, Chapter 4 of the Municipal Code entitled Animal Control. There is in addition to this, since the first reading, which added the nuisance animal control section was updated, so the ordinance no longer conflicts with the Cook County Managed Care of Feral Cats ordinance as a result of community feedback. So I move that we accept ordinance 25-28 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Trustee Travis, seconded by Trustee Minks. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Trustee Minks?
Aye.
Trustee Sheba?
Aye.
Trustee Thill?
Aye.
Trustee Travis?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Ordinance 25-28 passes 6-0, Your Honor.
And my second ordinance is ordinance 25-29, amending Title I, Chapter 4, Section 2, entitled Monetary Penalties and Fines for Specific Violations and Offenses of the Municipal Code of the Village of Morton Grove. This ordinance will amend Title I, Chapter 4, Section 2 of the code to include specific penalties for violations of 5-14-2 and 5-14-3, which were created on August 12, 2025, when the Village Board passed Ordinance 25-23. It also removes the penalties associated with the obsolete Section 5-4-10-1D. I move that we accept Ordinance 25-29 as presented.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Travis, seconded by trustee White. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Trustee Sheba?
Aye.
Trustee Phil?
Aye.
Trustee Travis?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Minks?
Aye.
Ordinance 25-29 passes 6-0, Your Honor.
Then I also just wanted to mention that during these trying economic times, I wanted to highlight the Early Childhood Alliance of Niles Township. The organization is a collaboration of 45 organizations geared towards enhancing outcomes for children within the Niles Township. Due to a technical error in the state's budget, the funds for this organization are not available this year. As such, they are asking for the community's help. If you are interested in learning more, please visit www.nilestownship.eca.org. And thank you, Father Dennis, for all your leadership. Appreciate it. That is the end of my report.
Thank you,
Thank
trustee
you.
White.
Yes, I have 3 ordinances for tonight. They're all first readings. Ordinance 25-34 is approving a special use permit for a mixed-use development on the property commonly known as 6222 Lincoln Avenue and 8503 to 8509 Fernald Avenue in Morton Grove. The second ordinance I have is 2535. This is approving a minor amendment to Ordinance 24-19, granting a special use permit for an automobile mini-mart station at 6335 Dempster Street in Morton Grove. My third ordinance is 25-36. This is approving a final plat of subdivision and accepting certain improvements for the Park Villas Townhomes subdivision located on property commonly known as 8721 Narragansett and 8720 to 8726 Ferris Avenue, and a 1,121 square foot portion of the public alley right-of-way petition for vacation in Morton Grove. I also have a couple things. The Economic Development Commission is hosting a small business workshop series November 19th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and November 20th from 9 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. in the Morton Grove Public Library located at 6140 Lincoln Avenue. The event is free and will include presentations from the Illinois Small Business Development Center at Oakton College and the Cook County Small Business Source. Please visit the village's Facebook page to learn more. And lastly, I want to thank Father Dennis for your leadership in the community and all the great things you've done for Morton Grove. That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Presentation of warrants, trustee Khan.
Yes, my honor. I'd like to present a warrant register for November 12, 2025, in the amount of $852.77.03. And I'd like to make a motion to approve the warrant register as presented tonight.
Second.
Motion made by trustee Khan, seconded by trustee Phil. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Trustee Phil?
Aye.
Trustee Travis?
Aye.
Trustee White?
Aye.
Trustee Khan?
Aye.
Trustee Minks?
Aye.
Trustee Sheba? The November 12th warrants pass as presented 6-0, Your Honor.
Thank you. Other business?
Thank you, Mayor. In light of ongoing issues at the local, state, and federal level on immigration enforcement, Mayor Whitco asked me to provide a summary of the village's activities in regards to immigration enforcement. The village adheres to both state and federal laws. Specifically, this means that our staff adhere to the Illinois Trust Act and Illinois Voices Act. The Illinois Trust Act was passed in 2017 and provided guidance on local agencies' role in immigration enforcement. It provides local law enforcement or prohibits local law enforcement from participating in civil immigration law enforcement, and specifically states that local agencies such as the Village of Morton Grove may not transfer any person into an immigration agent's custody, that we may not give any immigration agent access, including by telephone, to any individual who is in the law enforcement agency's custody, in our custody. We may not permit immigration agents' use of village facilities or equipment, including the use of electronic databases not available to the public for any investigative or immigration enforcement purpose, and that we may not otherwise render collateral assistance to federal immigration agents, including coordinating an arrest in a courthouse or other public facility, transporting any individuals, establishing a security or traffic perimeter, or providing other on-site support. Additionally, the village adheres to the 2019 Voices Act, which requires that the village follow specific procedures to support immigrants victimized by violent crimes or human trafficking who help law enforcement investigate or prosecute criminal activity. As someone listening at home or here in the audience, you may ask, what does this mean and how does it apply to the village and everyday life in Morton Grove? It means that staff will not inquire about someone's immigration status, we will not discriminate against someone based on their immigration status, and we will provide services equally to all those who call for service. Our staff will not investigate someone's immigration status or place of birth in our custody or who has otherwise been stopped or detained by the village. The public are able to use village resources without providing documentation or proof of U.S. citizenship. And that, to our knowledge, as part of the recent immigration efforts over the last 2 months, there have not been instances where the village's property has been used for immigration enforcement activities, to our knowledge. An additional concern that's been raised is asking for the village to report if and when immigration enforcement is occurring within Morton Grove. The village is not notified when federal immigration is conducting operations within Morton Grove. If the village receives a call for service, we can and do render assistance for the callers. However, the village has not provided information on any detentions that have occurred and are not provided information from federal agents regarding any charges issued against those in custody. While the village has limited authority in immigration enforcement, we also want to make the community members aware of some available resources, such as the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, who can be contacted at 855-435-7693 or online at icirr.org, the North Suburban Legal Aid Clinic at 847-737-4042 or nslegalaid.org, or the Illinois Immigration Information Hub at 855-435-7693 or illinoisimmigrationinfo.org. And as always, if you have a fear for your safety or need emergency assistance, please contact the village at 911. And with that, that concludes my report, Mayor.
Thank you. And just before we get to residents' comments, I would like to make a statement. I want to begin by acknowledging the residents who have come tonight because they care deeply about our community, as we all do, and the people in it. Your passion is clear and your voices matter. We all want to see innocent, hardworking people protected, and the village does not tolerate discrimination, hate, bigotry, cruelty against other human beings, no matter their status. Where we differ is how best to achieve that. What is being asked of us tonight, to adopt policies or make statements against federal immigration enforcement, would not change the reality of the situation. The village does not have authority, as we all know, over federal agents on our operations or their operations. We are bound by federal and state law, and as our village administrator just stated, the Trust Act already prohibits the use of village facilities, such as our parking lots, for immigration agents' use. Placing signs or making proclamations would be purely symbolic. They do not give immigrants any additional rights or protection, nor do they restrict federal officers in any way. In my view, signs and proclamations can actually increase risk for vulnerable populations, as we've seen in places like Evanston and Chicago, where visible defiance has only invited more federal attention. If you want to see change in immigration policy or enforcement practices, I urge you to channel this energy toward those who can actually make that change, our U.S. senators and representatives. They are the ones with legislative authority over immigration law enforcement. So for the residents' comments coming up, we have several speakers that would like to speak. And during resident comments, you get 4 minutes to talk. And we ask that if you're repeating the same message as the speaker before you, please give your name and mention that you agree, but maybe save the 4 minutes because there's a lot of people that want to speak. Please note that during this time, it's not a back and forth. The village board will be listening intently, but not responding to individual comments, as this is a time for us to listen. So with that, we'll start with the first speaker, and that is Akhtar Sadiq. I will add, you don't have to tell us your address, but we really would like to know if you're a Morton Grove resident. So if you don't mind, if you want, tell us or not. You don't have to, but we'd love to know. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Mayor, and respected all the trustees. I'd like to make a comment about the ICE situation that you just mentioned about. In light of my name is Akhtar Sadiq, 5736 Main Street in Morton Grove. In light of unjust and ruthless activities are being conducted by ICE in Morton Grove and our neighborhood suburbs, I ask Village of Morton Grove to implement a policy of, number one, prohibit any civil federal immigration operations on village-owned property without a valid warrant. Second, produce signage providing notice about the new policy for display on village, business, and residential properties. Our neighboring suburbs have taken similar actions for the safety and security of their residents. Why not Morton Grove now? We are just in the backyard of Skokie and Mount Prospect, and one more I'm forgetting. For sake of Morton Grove residents and those who provide different services to our community, Morton Grove needs to take these actions. I know some of our community members were just randomly targeted, detained, and later released. Luckily, they were all citizens of the country. But they had to go through such a trauma, such a shock, and they were scared. So that is not a safe and secured environment for our Morton Grove residents. So your action in this matter will help the Morton Grove residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We're going to, please hold applause. I'm going to queue up just a few people at a time so that we can keep going. So we'll have Mohammed Ahmed, Mary Elsner, and Janice Cha will be the next three speakers.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Ahmed. I'm a resident of Morton Grove. I've been here since, I think, 2015. And I would like to reiterate the same things that Mr. Sadiq said, that I would ask the Village of Morton Grove to please consider passing resolutions and ordinances that will limit unlawful activity by federal immigration agents. And also, I would like to ask everyone here to think about what it is that they are living for. And ask themselves, sorry, I'm a bit nervous.
It's okay.
It's a lot of people here. Look, first and foremost, that these types of activities will limit our economic opportunities here in Morton Grove. We are not a major big city like Skokie and Niles. A lot of our land is forest preserved. So the little areas that we do have, the few shops that we do have are going to be severely limited. And this is going to impact our taxes. This is going to impact our economic revenue. Now, beyond the money, each and every single one of us here, whether you're a citizen or not, has a duty to the United States Constitution. And the flag that we pledge allegiance to, that represents that Constitution. So ask yourselves, are you going to sit quietly while the federal government tramples the rights of every single citizen living here in Morton Grove? And I ask the officers that are here too, one day Donald Trump is going to end his administration. Hopefully, he will leave quietly. If he doesn't, if he feels emboldened by our silence and goes for a third term in violation of our Constitution, what are we going to do? What are the police officers going to do? What is the village board going to do? Are you going to buckle and allow a third term in violation of the Constitution? Are we just going to sit here quietly and allow him to gather all of his strength and continue to silence us? These are very important questions that we have to ask ourselves now so that we can prepare for the future. So I apologize if I was a little too emotional. I'm really sorry, but this is something that's close to my heart. And
Guys, we can't have audience comment, but I will say you don't need to apologize.
Okay.
Because this is a public meeting and there are rules for it.
So,
But thank you for your
thank
comments.
you all for your
said it
time.
very well. Thank you. No, please don't clap. Sorry. It's just the way it's supposed to be run. I'm sorry. Mary?
Good evening, Mayor Whitco and members of the Village Board. My name is Mary Elsner. I'm a longtime resident of Morton Grove. I'm asking the village to take action to implement what is known as ice-free zones. In addition to what was asked about prohibiting civil immigration operations on village-owned and controlled property, we don't know where those properties are. We'd like the village to identify those properties, and furthermore, to produce signage as was stated before. And finally, to produce signage for businesses and residents to utilize as a template to restrict civil immigration enforcement on these properties. This makes it more difficult for ICE to carry out their current reign of terror. If you look at communities all around us, like County, Oak Park, Wilmette is probably going to pass a similar ordinance, City of Chicago, Lake County, the list goes on, and I don't understand why we're hesitating in Morton Grove. We're living in unprecedented and dangerous times. ICE and federal actors in Chicago and surrounding communities have made it impossible for many of us to participate fully in our village out of fear that we may be brutally and unlawfully taken away at any time in public spaces and private spaces by unidentified, poorly trained masked agents carrying out civil, and I want to emphasize civil, immigration enforcement with seeming impunity. We've all seen instances of Chicago area residents abducted and then disappeared without due process, without following the law or standard police practices, without valid warrants or required documentation, all while jeopardizing everyone's constitutional rights. Is it okay to traumatize children at a daycare center, to indiscriminately spray chemicals on U.S. citizens and their baby who happen to be out shopping for groceries, to deter residents from going to work, leaving them unable to pay their rent, or following mothers walking their young children to school? No, this is not okay. This is not America. It has been asserted that taking no action will prevent Morton Grove from becoming a target. Morton Grove is already a target of civil immigration enforcement. My understanding is that the Morton Grove police have been present at detainments. If the village does not act, it will not stop ICE from picking up individuals at Menards, at Home Depot and Niles, et cetera. But establishing ICE-free zones will help to preserve community trust and help safeguard access to village programs and services. It will also encourage ICE to follow the law. When ICE comes knocking at the village's door, will the Morton Grove Police, in violation of the Trust Act, or the village, hand them a village-owned property, a controlled property, to stage their operations? And I know you said it's not going to happen in the parking lot at Village Hall. Are there other properties that you will be using to be complicit in assisting federal agents to continue to carry out lawless immigration enforcement? As village officials who truly care about preserving community trust and respecting the dignity, welfare, and safety of everyone in our community. You need to show us.
15 seconds left, Mary.
The village board has the authority to adopt an ordinance or resolution. Show us you care by using your leadership and humanity to enact ice-free zones. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll queue up Kim Moldovsky. Janice Cha's next.
Thank you, Mayor Whitco and trustees, for giving us this opportunity. I would like to urge the village to consider ending the use of its flock traffic surveillance cameras that read and record license plates. These were first, to my understanding, introduced here in 2022 as a way to track the bad guys. But what happens when the bad guy is actually just a neighbor who's exercising their First Amendment right to free speech in service of protecting someone else's Fourth Amendment right to unreasonable, protecting someone else's Fourth Amendment right to safety from unreasonable search and seizure? We would like to know, how is this data being used? How is it being protected to ensure that it is not being accessed or used by federal agents? Thank you.
Thank you. We will queue up next is Lori Fishman, and now is Kim Moldovsky.
Thank you. On February 12th, 2025, a fellow resident and I addressed the village board. Our February concerns read like a checklist. LGBTQ neighbors worried about the status of their marriages and safety of their families? Check. Neighbors who depend on Medicaid concerned about getting necessary care? Check. Home repairs and renovations out of reach due to additional fees from tariffs? Check. Solar panel permits down in Morton Grove now that the Inflation Reduction Act subsidies will expire? Check. Federal government employees laid off? Check. Immigrant neighbors concerned for their families? Check. Undocumented school children or children of undocumented parents afraid to go to school? Check. Legal citizens who are afraid due to emboldened immigration vigilantes and ICE? Check. Though I want to note that because ICE and CBP and DHS are sending unmarked cars with masked men lacking badge numbers or sometimes even badges through our streets, it's impossible to tell hooligans from government officials. This is a danger to us all. Sadly, the chaos we felt back in February almost feels quaint now. On Halloween, we had low-altitude helicopters flying overhead for most of the afternoon. We had a convoy of ICE and their ilk causing chaos on our street. We had a landscaper abducted on Major. I'm proud that we also had residents handing out whistle kits, monitoring ICE activities, and trying to protect innocent people, legal workers, as well as people who may have committed the civil offense of overstaying their visa. Many residents have reached out to village leaders to express concerns about this mayhem, these illegal actions, and many, including me, have heard back that leadership strives to represent the full community or both sides. What is the other side of not wanting a hardworking family man getting disappeared and shipped across the country to a detention facility? What is the other side of upholding constitutional rights? What is the other side of keeping masked marauders out of our community? What is the other side of saying that a whistleblowing citizen should not be met with a gun or tear gas? When does neutrality become complicity? You can't solve federal issues, but you can do more to keep our community safe. I suggest following the lead of Des Plaines and Evanston mayors and standing up for vulnerable members of our community, following the lead of Wilmette and Glencoe and posting about ICE activity on village social media channels in a timely manner. Be like Lincolnwood and use social media to share information on Know Your Rights training or some of the things that Chuck shared with us earlier. Follow the lead of Skokie and prohibit civil immigration enforcement activity on village property or ask them to leave if they do. Make sure that police respond to citizens who call in concerns about whether ICE is active and whether the masked people who claim to be ICE or CBP are not actually criminals.
support the safety of our residents, and ensure ice is kept off their private property. It is clear that wherever ice goes, mayhem ensues. We are not immune. Silence is not protection, it is complicity. Do more and inform and protect the residents of Morton Grove. And I want to add a special thank you to
30
the immigrant and brown folks who have gotten up to speak tonight because they are more vulnerable. And I want to urge the white people in our community to stand up for our neighbors. Thank you.
Please, please, no applause. I mean, we're being respectful. We're just asking for you to be respectful back. Thank you. Lori, and I'm going to cue up Nicole Sadai. Lori, go ahead.
Thank you. Lori Fishman, 8927 Moody Avenue. I'm going to yield my time because of the eloquentness of everyone else's words, though I wrote something really eloquent. I think I'll just pass, but I do want to make a quote. Today I watched Dr. Jane Goodall's memorial program, her service, and I want to quote her. "You cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make." Thank you.
Thank you. I will cue up John Pasquale. And Nicole, you're up.
Hello, I'm Nicole Sideye. I'm a resident of Morton Grove. I live at 8546 Cali. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight. I'm here to echo everything that was said before me regarding ICE safe zones and ordinances in place already, but really being spoken upon and enforced with the unlawful arrests that are happening across our cities. But I want to speak directly to what you shared earlier, which was in regards to signage specifically, being just signage and inviting more attention to our city. I have to disagree. I think that Evanston and Skokie had that as a response to the already egregious amount of attacks they were receiving from ICE. And since then, I think we've all noticed that now there's discussions of ICE pulling out and leaving the Broadview facility in Chicago. And I think this is what happens when cities very boldly and very obviously fight back. So I would argue that signage would not only welcome that, but also show your constituents and the people and the residents of this community that you support them and you want them to be safe and you want them to be heard. That's all from me.
Thank you. Let's queue up Lisa Kabir, and John Pasquale's up.
My name is John Pasquale. I live at 8701 Austin. I'm going to be reading a statement from another resident, Dr. Ruth Gomberg. But I just wanted to say I had emailed the village with community concerns. I got 2 responses, which were copy and paste, talking about respecting all views. Personally, I think that if you view what is happening right now to people across this country being snatched up and are okay with that, there's a racist element to that. And racism, to me, is not a different political view. It's a moral flaw. That being said, I'll read Dr. Gomberg's statement. I write to you as an internationally recognized expert on migration and a resident of Morton Grove. About 8 years ago, I stood in front of this body to ask that Morton Grove join our suburban neighbors in passing a sanctuary ordinance. I described how I moved my family to Morton Grove because I wanted my son to grow up in a richly diverse and safe community, and how that diversity and safety could be threatened by the reckless actions of a violent administration. At that time, the village took a courageous stand and passed a sanctuary resolution, joining a block of other North suburban communities, vowing to protect their immigrant residents. Those threats to our community are now being realized. Our neighbors are being hunted in public, taken from our streets, and disappeared without being able to say goodbye to their families. These past few weeks, I have met so many of my neighbors, fellow educators, lawyers, healthcare workers, retirees, and others as we respond to reports of ICE activity in the area. Most times our task is to quash a false rumor, but too often it is to confirm a tragedy. Declining to take a stand will not protect us going forward. It is not protecting us now. You have been elected to lead us. I urge Morton Grove to join Chicago, Evanston, and other suburban communities in passing an injunction to prevent ICE from using taxpayer-funded public property as a staging ground to hunt Morton Grovers. This is not a question of political theater. It is a question of survival. The time has come to be courageous again. The lives of Morton Grovers depend on it. Thank you.
Thank you. I will queue up Karina Marin. Okay, thank you. Lisa, it's your turn.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa K. Beer. I am a citizen of Morton Grove. I live on Luna. The last time I was down here, I did not feel safe speaking in front of our fire department. I did talk to Chuck about this, and I would be gladly talk to people about this again. But see, that's the thing. People are looking at me like, what? Why? Not everyone has the privilege of not being in fear. Not being in fear for who they are or what they look like or where they come from. And if you don't understand that fear, then you'll never understand why we feel so unsafe. So my speech is going to be a little disjointed. I'm going to start by telling you that on 10/18, there were 2 abductions from Menards. A Skokie Fairview family father was abducted. A Skokie family father was abducted after leaving the store, walking to the car. On 10/8, on the block of 6000 West Dempster, there was a worksite raid. On 10/9 at 2:39 p.m. on the 8500 block of Austin, there was another worksite raid. On 10/22 at 8:30 a.m. at MB Financial Bank on Waukegan Road, 10 agents, 4 cars, kidnapped 4 who were hired to work in the building by a contractor. Morton Grove police were present but did nothing. An 18-year-old sister of this family that was there was beat up by agents. And then we have 10/31/25 at 12:14 on Major Avenue. 1 person, a landscaper, abducted. Several witnesses on the block saw Bovino, multiple agents and several cars with propaganda cameras following them around. And this does not include the abduction from Beckwith and Waukegan, where in the video you can see a man on the ground screaming that they just took his brother. Don't tell me we can't make changes. We can. And that's why you were elected, to be here for us. I would also like to add, while Morton Grove does not have jurisdiction to interfere with lawful ICE behavior, the Morton Grove police do have the right to not only interfere when they are behaving unlawfully. So if they run a red light, assault people by shooting pepper balls at peaceful protesters, by any law, murder, battery, etc., they must follow the rules of the state and local organization. Never has there been deference to anyone masked and unidentified. And Ben Franklin says we must all hang together or else we shall all hang separately. How much time do I have left?
You have about a minute 30.
Okay, this is in my response to Mayor Whitco's response to my post about this rally we had tonight. This is not about your feelings. How do all the people at risk within our village feel? It doesn't matter if it's someone that lives in Morton Grove when the brutality is happening in Morton Grove. I am reiterating what is being said by the community that is on the ground, feeling unsafe, witnessing the brutality, and seeing people being abducted while you say there is nothing you can do. The towns around us are doing things to work toward making it a little more difficult for these agents, and not just saying you don't want to take steps, which may make us more of a target. We are already a target. They are here. Evanston and Skokie passed ordinances, and 2 school districts just passed resolutions. And I learned tonight that there's 2 more school districts passing resolutions. Evanston's Mayor Daniel Biss is giving you a map of actions that you can follow. He has invited people to reach out to him. He is directing the police to respond. He's sending his sergeants out when there is activity. He's getting these agents' names and IDs. I'm sorry you feel the way you stated, but your email said there are just as many voices coming to you being against adding protections to our city that feel differently than what I asked for in my email. What is the opposite to being against kidnapping? What exactly do these other people stand for? What wide range of views are there? So instead of feeling these ways you stated and centering yourself, put yourself out there and fight for our village.
Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
We're out of time. Thank you. That's okay. I'll queue up Haley Eicholzer and Karina Marin. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name.
It's okay. Hi, good evening. My name is Karina Marin, and I have been a resident of Morton Grove for the past 10 years. I first and foremost want to state my support for the same asks that my fellow residents have already listed, ending the flock camera contract, putting up stronger local policies and signage to declare ice-free zones, and to boldly take a stance for our immigrant communities. I'm here today because my local government, my elected officials, are quite frankly failing me. I am a daughter of Mexican immigrants, and I have brown skin. And I have a village board that is doing next to nothing to protect and support me and my family in the face of masked men terrorizing my neighborhood. I am here to urge you to do more to protect the community from the often illegal and violent kidnappings that are being committed by masked men, some of who are immigration agents and some who may not be because they don't identify themselves. I emailed all the members of the board about my concerns, and I got one response from Mayor Whitco that was disappointing and eye-opening. I say eye-opening because this email showed me that this village board truly doesn't care about the safety of myself or our community. You cannot simply say that you are committed to fostering a community where everyone feels welcome and supported, and then not take proactive measures to protect residents from the masked men who are terrorizing us. They have been here. Others have already listed the times that they've been here. And they are waving guns around our schools. They are driving recklessly in our streets, often with no license plate. And they are pepper spraying our neighbors for exercising their right to document law enforcement in public spaces. To see this violence unfold in our neighborhood, and to then hear from my mayor that this board will not be making public proclamations or adopting policies, but instead taking an apolitical approach, is unacceptable. The silence that you have chosen to take is violence, and it is an open door for more hate and fear to spread in our community. It's a clear sign to me that my brown skin is not welcome here. And if it continues, then it will be abundantly clear that this board does not lead with the bold leadership when their community is calling for them to actually step up. I think it's great that y'all were outlining the Trust Act and the Voices Act, which are good, but we are asking for you to do more. This is not enough. I work within the immigration field. I've been doing this work for 2 years and have been proactively advocating for my family and my immigrant community and doing everything that you're saying where I should be putting my action to. And now I'm turning to you and telling you it's your turn to step up. Sorry, I lost my place.
It's okay.
We are telling you that it is not enough. We have already been a target. We need you to do more. You've been elected by us to do more for our community, to respond when we are asking for you to step up and put out more proactive measures. You can do stuff. There are things within your reach. You can empower immigrants and hold Know Your Rights sessions. You can partner with local organizations, use your social media platforms, be transparent about your limits, yes, but also about your efforts because you are leaders in this community and we deserve more. Everything we do matters. Everything you do matters. We need bold leaders now, and I can only hope that this will be you.
Thank you. Next is Andrea Quartz, and Haley Eicholzer is up.
My name is Haley Eicholzer, and I've been a resident of Morton Grove since I was a kid. I attended Parkview School, and now I am a high school special education teacher at District 219. Last week, the Skokie Village members unanimously voted to adopt an anti-ICE ordinance. The community spoke, and their representatives finally started to listen. In response to your immigrant community members asking you, our mayor, to openly protect and support them by adopting similar anti-ICE ordinances, you have repeatedly refused, stating that you must respect a wide range of views and that it's best if you stay apolitical. Over the course of history, the most important equity issues have all been deemed too political. Enslavement, systemic racism, freedom of speech, poverty and wealth inequality, human trafficking, war crimes, LGBTQIA+ rights, women's voting rights, to name a few. Frankly, if historical leaders had been using your logic by remaining apolitical and respecting everyone's views, there is no world in which you, the first female mayor of Morton Grove, would be sitting in front of us right now. I encourage you to see and hear us using that lens. You cannot say that you value our diversity while hiding behind a veil of neutrality. There is no neutral when it comes to matters of equity and justice. Your silence is a stance. It is a prime example of moral and ethical hypocrisy. We are not asking you to change federal law. We're asking you to align our village with what the mayors in Evanston, Skokie, and Chicago have already done. Because contrary to your comment that nothing the village enacts can provide more rights to immigrants or reduce federal officer activity, you do have the power to implement anti-ICE ordinances. Ordinance that will prevent the unlawful racially motivated violence being committed against the people that you swore to protect. Do you see all of the community members in this room, knowledgeable people who have full-time jobs, nonprofit workers, teachers, nurses, business owners, attorneys, immigration lawyers, who I am certain know more about immigration than anyone else in the room? These are the people who are currently protecting our community. We are keeping each other safe. We are organizing mutual aid. We are standing up and responding to our neighbors being kidnapped. We are working with school districts and families. We are showing up for each other, educated, intentional, and unafraid. We are doing our jobs. Do yours.
Thank you. Jeremy Paston, I think, will be next. And Andrea, you're up.
Hi, I am a Morton Grove resident, 8647 Fernald. I don't have any new requests. I agree with everything people have said. There are so many smart, passionate people in this room speaking up, and it's amazing. What I will ask is we're focusing what we can do right now. But what we're planning for right now is helping us to plan for the future, because history tells us that this isn't the only thing that we can expect. This isn't going to stop. This is probably going to escalate. It's going to keep going. And what we're doing today is helping us plan for the future. So how bad does it have to get before the village will do something?
Thank you. Bob Burkhart will be next, and Jeremy, you're up now.
We've all seen the violence that's been hitting Chicago over the past couple of months. As a human being, I can't sit idly and watch this continue around me. This administration has shown that their words do not match their deeds. This is not about getting the worst of the worst criminals out of our country. This is a demonstration of power. We can have our political differences, our differences of opinion on the issue of undocumented immigrants and their role in this country. Personally, I don't believe that deportation is the correct course, but that is a political issue. However, that is not the issue at hand. Under the Obama administration, approximately 3 million people were deported, and we didn't have scenes like those that we have witnessed unfolding recently. The most reliable estimates put the current pace of this administration well short of that. This shows that this behavior is not a required aspect of enforcement. This administration has chosen to pursue this course of savageness in an attempt to project power. The issue at hand is how the rights of people, both citizens and undocumented, are routinely being violated. The issue is the cruelty that is being practiced all around us every day. We need to remember that these are people too. These people are human beings too, and that their lives have value. These people are our neighbors, our coworkers, our friends, and our family. They have loved ones, children, families of their own. I cannot, in good conscience, condone the behavior that we have been witness to. This is not a political issue, this is a moral issue. This is a demonstration of our humanity or lack thereof. Behavior that we've seen from ICE and CBP has been inhumane, cruel, and intentional. They've kept children naked and zip-tied in the back of U-Hauls. They've tear-gassed and pepper-sprayed nonviolent protesters exercising their First Amendment rights. They've deliberately revoked visas of people at their immigration hearings and then disappeared them immediately. They have deported people to a prison in a foreign country, a prison that is internationally infamous for its human rights violations. They have engaged in torture and abuse, beating and starving detainees until they agree to self-deport. They have consistently foregone due process. As principled people, it's incumbent upon us to oppose such behavior wherever we see it. While I understand that the village cannot obstruct the processes directly, we can do things to help our community members. Chicago and numerous other suburbs have taken action to educate and protect and care for their residents. I strongly encourage Morton Grove to follow this path. We can still serve those around us, those that make up our community. Diversity was a huge draw for us to move to Morton Grove, and it pains me to see what is happening and not happening in our village today. I'm a privileged person. I can put food on the table, a roof over my family's head. Based on gender and the color of my skin, I haven't been held back by the systems in place that affect those who aren't so lucky. It's my duty, my responsibility, to use that privilege to help those who aren't as privileged as I am. I firmly believe that I and everyone else that enjoys privileges like I do have a moral and ethical responsibility to uplift and protect those that our society abuses. We can no longer sit quietly and watch as the most vulnerable in our society are intentionally traumatized and abused by the very government that is charged with protecting and safeguarding our human rights. If these actions were being perpetrated on one country by another, they would rightly be called war crimes. Why then do we continue to allow them to be done to those around us? Inaction is complicity. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And the last speaker will be Marcy, I'm so sorry about the last name, Sehenoglu. Bob, you're up.
Okay, thank you. I'm Bob Burkhardt. I've often spoken to you on moral issues, and I think this is a moral issue as well. I have a personal story. Makes me angry. 2 weeks ago, our landscape owner, and we've had the same landscape person for at least 15 years, drove to our home as usual, and we noticed something was different. There was nobody else in his truck. We saw him sitting in the cab and not getting out or doing anything. We opened our door. He came up to us, and I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "They took my guys." Fortunately, he was spared and his equipment. But the two men that we have gotten to know very well, dependable, hardworking individuals, I can't believe are criminals. He said that also on the same day, that's the day that all the helicopters were over us, and my wife and I said, "Are we living in a military zone?" He said that that same day, 5 other landscape groups had their people picked up in Skokie. He wasn't the only one. And so, after some tears of us talking together, we said, "What are you going to do?" And he said, "I don't know." He says, "I don't know what you're going to do because you depend upon us. We're not able to do this kind of yard work and so on anymore." I said, "Well, you need to regroup." I said, "Don't worry, we're going to pay you for it. Even if you're not coming here, it's not safe for you." And so, after a while, we looked at ourselves, Shirley and I, and said, "This is not a pretty picture." And we happened to have seen the video that the landscaper took of the ice people, and the ice person was female, so it's not all male. And saw her yelling and screaming, and she didn't push him down or anything, but it was not a pleasant thing to watch. We knew something was wrong. She didn't give them any opportunity to say anything. First of all, they couldn't understand her. So how do you expect somebody to say something if they don't understand your language? So what do? We couldn't believe this happened to our person, the hardworking guys. And you know what their offense was? Being Mexican. And that seems to be very high on the priority of our nation these days. It's okay to hate Mexicans. And so they are at the low end of the poll. So where do we go from here? As I said, for us, having landscape service is not a luxury. It's necessary. We want to stay here. We want to stay in our home. And we call the landscaper our condo fee so that we're able to stay in our home. And I cannot take care of the lawn, or we like to have some flowers. We can't plant the flowers. I can water them. And I certainly can't do the snow.
30 seconds,
We
Bob.
live on a corner, so there's a lot of sidewalk and driveway. And we have a friend who can help, but when the village comes across, the snow is so high there that he can't do that manually. So what's the village going to do? What are we going to do? And what's the village going to do to protect these wonderful people who come? They're not only landscapers, there's roofers, all kinds of people. What are we going to do?
That's 4 minutes, Bob. Thank you. Marcy?
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Marcy Shahinolu. I'm not a Morton Grove resident, but I'm here to talk about an incident that happened here in Morton Grove that affected me personally. In October, the neighbor who lives across the alley from me in Skokie, who is a master craftsman and happens to be Eastern European, was at the Menards in Morton Grove when ICE agents approached him, asked him his name. He responded, and he was taken away. Out of the grace of God, the ICE agents allowed him to make a call to his wife to let her know what was happening and that his truck was at the Menards Morton Grove. She then let another neighbor know, and that neighbor contacted me and said, "Oh my God, our neighbor was just taken. Will you come with me to Menards to pick up his truck?" And I can't even convey to you the horror and sadness of what it was like driving to Menards, knowing that a person that I know personally, I've been to his house, his children have played with my children, they go to school with my children. We've celebrated holidays and birthdays together, had been taken away without any notice, without any due process, and we soon were to find out was to be shipped to El Paso, Texas, to be in detention there because they're literally running out of space to put people in detention facilities in our surrounding Midwest states. Imagine how difficult it was for me to pick up my children that day. It was a Friday, knowing that his children would have to be picked up and told, "Daddy's not here anymore." And we don't know when or ever if we're going to see him again. It's horrific, and it's affecting our community deeply. I live maybe 3.5 miles from where we're standing now. And we have to understand the personal toll that it's taking on everyone, but especially on our vulnerable community members. I'm also standing here as a lawyer. I'm a criminal defense attorney and a federal civil rights litigator, and I'm very familiar with the various myriad ways that ICE is violating the law, and I don't think anyone can put their head in the sand and try and justify the way that these warrantless illegal arrests are occurring. And I'd also like to briefly, sorry, I'm emotional.
That's okay.
I'd like to briefly speak about something that was said at the beginning of this meeting about any action that the village could take would be just symbolic in nature, as if symbolism is something pejorative. It's not. There's a flag right there. That's a symbol. And that's something that carries a lot of meaning, and I hope it carries meaning for everyone in this room. And think about other symbols that we hold dear. The pink ribbon for breast cancer awareness. Does that mean something to people who have had breast cancer to see somebody wearing a pink ribbon in solidarity for the people who are going through that struggle? Of course it does.
30 seconds.
What about my personal hero, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, former justice of the Supreme Court, who wore a collar on the days when she was dissenting from a majority opinion, as she often did as a trailblazer for women in the law? Symbolism matters. What this village does, symbolic or not, matters. Please have the courage and the wisdom to do something, even if it's just symbolic, to support the vulnerable members of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you to everybody who's spoken. We appreciate hearing your voices. And with this, that is the end of our speakers. So we will make a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by trustee Mink, seconded by trustee Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting ends at